Hey everyone, this is James from TDB bringing you another Inbetweenisode. Today I am drinking a tea that I have been drinking pretty regularly, so much so that I assumed I brought it onto an Inbetweenisode. I try to bring on stuff that I drink fairly often onto these shows and cover it, just so you guys can get a pretty good idea of what I'm drinking, and obviously there's stuff I'm familiar with, but I realized I had not, and this tea I purchased earlier this year. It's an aged Oolong from TeaHome, supposedly 35 years old. It belongs in a genre of tea that I usually drink once or twice a week, so pretty frequently, but it's also a genre of tea that I'm not exactly covering that much on the show, certainly not proportional to how much I'm drinking it, partly because I just have a lot of it from past trips, and they are not accessible teas that people can go out and buy. And I try not to feature too many teas. I mean, we're, of course, perfectly willing to bring those on, fairly often, but we don't want that to be 100% of the episodes. And I think it's always kind of an added bonus when you can feature a tea that is still available for consumption. And I did check today, and this one is. And I think this is nothing crazy. This is like just tea that's good to drink. And that's one thing I like about TeaHome is there's not really, I know perhaps their language is very floral and coded in Chinese, but for me at least, it's just very functional tea for consumption. And I would include their Taiwanese Oolong within that category too. So I don't really know if this is actually 35 years old. I mean, it's probably not, just the way that people will mislead and information gets passed down, but who really knows? I don't really care that much. This is the third steep. I had a couple steeps earlier this morning for this tea. These aged oolongs, sort of like ripe pu'er, usually, if it's a good version especially and is not particularly wet or sour, they are pretty robust brews, and they're very, very good grandpa style. Marshall has covered that far more than myself. He is also a very good source on just learning about aged oolong, so I do recommend his blog there too. And it costs $30 for 150 grams, so 20 cents per gram. So pretty darn reasonable. TeaHome, I think, is a very good approximation of just kind of seeing what Taiwanese teas sell for in Taiwan. When we're filtered through different Western vendors, no shame onto them at all, because they are providing good access and things like that. There's inevitably going to be a little bit more markup just because there's more middlemen involved. And TeaHome is kind of like a good way to just access the Taiwanese market directly. Not everyone is a huge fan of their teas. I personally think their tea is plenty good enough, and they're just drinkers too. Just a very sweet, simple smell to this. It brews this nice dark color. Cheers. Yeah, it's got a pretty simple profile, but very sweet. For me, at least, there's a little bit of minerals and things like that. Not nearly on the level of like a wooey. I would assume this is some sort of a Taiwanese oolong that's been aged for 30 or 35 years. Is it great? No, but it's nice, sweet, and it's very easy to drink. So for me, a very workman-like tea, a tea that I am happy to drink during the workday, partly paying attention, but also thinking about other things. It's not one that is going to demand that you put 100% of your concentration into it, like other teas really do deserve. Like if you're drinking something really nice or really expensive, you definitely want to make sure you are paying attention in a way that you don't necessarily have to for this tea. Yeah, this is my aged oolong pot, so we don't get to see it come out too much on TDB. Usually maybe just a couple times a year, but I am drinking these teas, once, twice a week, so pretty frequently. Nice sweetness coating the mouth. There's nothing crazy going on at all. Body is medium light. Very, very easy drinks. These are definitely teas that would probably pass the mom test as well as the ultralight test. They're very friendly towards other people too. So, I mean, it's in that sense too, it's a little bit undercovered. I think the audience that would potentially like these sorts of teas is a lot smaller than the audience that will drink them. Not that I really want everyone to go out and buy aged oolong, because it's nice to be able to buy teas like this for a pretty reasonable price. I have a couple bags of this, been working my way through them, and they're just, it's one that I looked at my bag, I'm like, oh, I've drank this quite a bit. So it's not the only aged oolong I drink, it's not the best aged oolong I drink, but it's a very solid aged oolong I drink that is passing the speed test. Speed test being just kind of how fast you are going through it. So yeah, daily drinker, nothing more, nothing less. All right, let that go. And for someone that owns a lot of pu'er, it's nice to be able to mix in things like this, or the occasional Wui oolong, or the occasional Taiwanese oolong. And so for me, at least, TeaHome is a really good vendor for 2 of those 3 oolong categories. Not Wui, obviously, but the other 2, it's quite good. Yeah, still a really nice sweet aroma. I'll probably go just a touch less long than pu'er goes. And it's really one of those teas, you can brew this a variety of ways. You could really stack the pot and brew it really hard if you wanted really intense brews, or you could go more of the grandpa style. I think the aged oolongs, if they are good, they're very robust. They'll have kind of this sweet plummy taste to it. This one's a little lighter on the plum. It does have a very intense sweetness. That's definitely like kind of the predominant flavor to it. Maybe a little more in that cherry sweet vein of things rather than plum, which may be one reason why you might think this is maybe not quite as old as 35 years old. But for me, at least, it doesn't matter. The tea is old enough, it's smooth enough, it's easy to drink, and I'm happy to consume it. You know, given if I was based in Taiwan, would I recommend this tea in the same way? Probably not, just because the access to different aged oolongs and stuff is so much greater there. But given that I am in Seattle and I'm in the West, and it's been 6-7 years since I've been to Taiwan, I think something like this is very much worth recommending. There are other options too for seeking out aged oolongs, but I haven't sampled everything, so I don't know how this necessarily compares to the options from like Floating Leaves or something like that. Usually they have decent ones too, but I think for 20 cents a gram, this is definitely a worth a purchase or worth a sample if you are interested in it. Cheers. Yeah, so brewed that one a little longer, and it's rewarding me with just kind of like a little bit more intensity, a nice sweetness to this as well. Yeah, and so thank you to Benoit, who sent me a sample earlier this year for this tea and prompted me to go buy it. He was not quite as enthused about the tea as I was, so just wanted to shout out that there are a variety of opinions there. Not everyone necessarily loves this tea, but the couple of people that I have sampled this tea for have quite enjoyed it too. And I've had it with them, and I know a couple of people at least that have ended up going off and buying bags. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. One thing I did want to shout out too is this is kind of a personal plug too, is if I know a lot of different tea folks are different hobbyists, so I am as well, and I'm a bit of a film buff. I like a lot of different movies from different places, so I did start a podcast with a friend, so covering a lot of like older Hong Kong films from the 80s, 90s. So if that's something you are interested in, feel free to follow us at ZA Film to Film. We've been doing it just very casually for fun for a couple of years now. It's not unlike TDB in a way, but definitely less people listen to it than TDB. So if you are interested in that, I will include the link in the show notes on YouTube. And thank you all for tuning in. I will see y'all next time. Cheers.